You guys brought a bunch of questions about our business. We're going to talk about all the hot topics.
All right, so I did a little post over on YouTube and in the Discord to get some comments from all of you, and you submitted a lot of comments really quick. So this first one is from the CT Picker, the legend himself.
Dylan.
My question is about hiring employees in our specific business. Currently, I'm a one-person operation, but I would eventually like to hire and continue to scale. How do you know when it's the right time to hire, and what are some of your tips when looking to hire someone as your first employee?
I said I would never hire anybody.
It's true.
I did.
And then he said I'd never hire 2 people.
Then I said I'd never hire
But Alpal,
3.
How could you not?
And
there's
I
another
made you rely on me, and then
Yes.
you couldn't let me go.
That's a good question, CT. Your business is one that I know. You're a big whatnot seller. You have a lot going on, but that's definitely become the forefront of your business, so you're doing a lot of volume. Employees in general, I would say, like, as a rule of thumb, do as much as you can to not hire an employee for as long as possible. And I've heard large companies give that advice too, just because it keeps things simpler.
Like the hire slow, fire fast mentality.
Hire very, very slow. And if you're hiring somebody, make sure it's somebody that you know is extremely high level, somebody that you can trust their integrity, somebody that you're comfortable having around. Unfortunately, not like Alpal.
Alpal's just
kidding.
product
like
placing
Alpal.
himself.
Woo! You're great. All right. He's not great at high fiving though. We're working on it.
Yeah, you'll get that raise once you can do it.
Flick, I'm used to working.
In my personal experience, I only hired people that I know I can have a high level of trust with, that I'm comfortable being around frequently. So do it however you think, but just make sure that that person will solve problems for you and increase your overall profit. The profit that comes to you. If they do not, then...
I have actually some thoughts on this. As somebody
Okay.
who's been on the hiring side, ideally...
On the hired side?
On the hired side.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the word. When you're hiring somebody, ideally, they need to do one of 2 things. Increase profit or reduce cost. If they're not doing either of those, you might not need a person, or they're not the right person, or you're not implementing them the right way.
Love it. Next question.
All right, this is from the Single Track Hunter. Do you keep a spreadsheet of buying cost versus sold amount? Or if not, how do you accurately track your profit?
Buying costs versus sold amount. Well, sold amounts are tracked on the platforms that I sell on, which is really nice. And then I keep books through QuickBooks Online. We recently got that last year. For me, it's keeping track of overall cost of goods every year, and then using the weighted average method of accounting per item that sells. You can Google weighted average method. It's basically coming up with one single cost per all the items that you sold in a given year and applying that cost to each item that's sold. And that's how we do it. Hopefully I understood the question properly.
I think so. Here's kind of a follow-up. This one's from Steezy. Is it necessary to use a CPA to help manage tax aspects of a reselling business?
Jesse, Steezy, shout out, my guy. I think using a CPA is very smart. I think they're going to be worth every dime. Not Your Dad's Accountant is one that I really like.
Is it Not Your Dad's CPA?
Not Your Dad's CPA. So he's really good, and he has some courses and stuff that I definitely recommend. Reseller Tax Academy. So definitely learn as much as you possibly can. I assume the question is talking about somebody to file your taxes. A bookkeeper is very different than an accountant, like a one-time or a couple-time meeting. A bookkeeper is a lot more strenuous, and there are people on Instagram that do that. So if your books are really complicated, maybe you should consider that. But yeah, having an accountant, you might pay them a couple $100 or whatever to make sure everything's good. I think that is so worth it, and they should save you money in the long run, especially if you have a good one. Just make sure you find a good one.
All right, now this one is from a Bizarre Project, who we got to meet.
Let's go.
What is your favorite sourcing trip you've taken, and what is your favorite thing to do on sourcing trips other than source?
I've had a lot of sourcing trips. I'll say one that comes to mind is going to Columbus, Ohio to meet who we dubbed Columbus Sean. I don't know if Sean still watches, but this was probably 5-6 years ago. My first big collection buy, which is one of the most notable experiences of my life. I think the collection amount was $8,000 or $9,000 that we paid. It was amazing stuff. Completed box Nintendo, Super Nintendo, GameCube. And Sean was incredible. But I went with Thane. We were really scared because we had never done something like that, you know. And it was kind of a monumental moment because after that, a lot of collections came just because it's like the 4-minute mile. You know, Roger Bannister, I think, was the first to do it. Hopefully I got that right. And then after that, after it happened, a bunch of people did it. So you get past that mental barrier and then it happens over and over again. So that one sticks out to me. And then other things that I like to do on road trips,
Find
eat.
good food.
yeah, go to good food wherever that is. I usually like to ask. I go to game stores and stuff too as part of road trips. Usually, whatever cool pawn shops, highly rated stuff along the way, and I like to ask the locals like where did they go to eat, and then I go there, and it's fun.
And most of the time they're pretty good.
It's never really steered us wrong.
Yeah. And then he has a follow-up question. What's your favorite part of the Discord and why should everyone sign up today?
Oh man, you might have to comment that one. But my favorite part is the community, in the sense of it's like a contagious community of people that are going out there and getting it. So if you're one of those people that like wants to connect with people, motivate people, ask for advice, and just be involved, it's a great spot for you. I know a Bazaar project, you guys are that. But if you're not that, like, it's definitely not worth joining. Don't join if you're not going to put in the work and connect with people.
All right, this one's from Chosapon in the Discord.
Oh, okay.
What is the easiest way to maximize doing this business part-time while avoiding burnout? We'll assume part-time is 20 hours or less a week.
Okay, great question. You know, I was, in a sense, doing that, the part-time thing while going to college. And from my personal experience, it's just doing everything you can to maximize your time, right? So, and also taking the wins when you have them, taking some profits out, you know, using them for fun things, getting little extras here and there. My kids are at the door, I think.
Do we just get a collection?
They shipped it in this? Okay, we'll keep answering questions as they unload everything. That's exciting, though. I can't wait to get to
But
those.
we're on the topic of burnout.
Yeah. Okay, yes, that's right. So, yeah, taking your wins when you have them. So commit to taking a percentage of profits, whatever that is for you, to use on fun things. You know, it could be 10%, 5%. Use it as fun money. Use it as, you know.
So like say you have a really, really good sale. You sell something for $1,000 that you have $10 into. Go out to a nice dinner with the family.
Yes. If you are married, if you have family, definitely like show them that your side hustle is paying off. I think that really, really helps preventing burnout. I think it's great to grow your side hustle, to grow your business, but if that's all you're doing, it is a recipe for burnout, especially if others are involved too.
All right, this is from Rob Clark. As a business, have you become an LLC or an S Corp?
Yes. Both. S Corp now. Last year was the first year I did an S Corp. It was significant tax savings. Should have done it 7 years ago.
Okay. So would you go right from an LLC? I guess when would you do an LLC?
An S Corp is a tax election, so it's not a type of business. So I am an LLC filing taxes as an S Corp. I've been an LLC probably like 2 years after 2 years of being full-time. Limited liability corporation, right? So literally the reason to do an LLC is to prevent your personal assets from getting sued. So it's not something you need to do, even if you're a real business. But when I started making videos and stuff, that's when I was like, all right, we should do an LLC just to reduce the risk of that.
And then depending on the state you're in, correct me if I'm wrong, you might need an LLC to get a reseller's license. Is that
Well, you do need an LLC, I think, in every state to get a resale license, tax ID.
Okay.
So to be tax exempt, since you're reselling the items and they're paying taxes on that side, you don't have to pay taxes when you buy it if you have that. And there's certain other things you can use it for. You wouldn't need an LLC for that.
Okay, this is from B-Bags. What are tips for navigating areas with a high saturation of resellers? He goes, I love the friendships and competition, but it seems recently that sourcing is becoming more and more difficult as reselling and collecting have grown in popularity?
Great question. I was going to ask on the sourcing or the selling side. So it's the sourcing side, high levels of competition. I've been on both ends of this. I've hated my competition. Maybe not hated, strongly disliked. Especially when I was like 15, going to garage sales, seeing Alfredo out there. I didn't know his name at the time.
Such a good name. I
I love
Alfredo.
it. Yeah, he's a legend. Michael Cash, competition, certain people. And then I got to know them. It took years. But meeting them and getting to know them and telling them what you do is by far the number one most important thing in business, in life, in everything. Specifically, the people that you know, the connections that you make will be the thing that gets you ahead. That's the number one thing, especially in business. If you know the right people and you connect with the right people, it will change your business. So I encourage you and everybody to try your best to connect with them. Some of them not going to be worth your time to connect with. They're going to be not great people, right? They're going to be dishonest, whatever. The majority are people that will be interested in getting to know you too, and maybe you guys can help each other in a way.
I was about to say, how do you take it beyond just a friendship? How do you turn it into more of a business relationship?
Yeah, so for Michael Cash specifically, I noticed he was doing a lot of video games, met him at his garage sale selling video games. Like, what are you doing? Well, now he sells gold and silver as his main hustle. So I sell him my gold and silver, and he sells me his video games. So it's just mutually beneficial. Those are the best types of relationships. Alfredo, he only buys video games. So he would be an example of somebody that I'd be like, well, what do you buy or what do you have in excess that my business is positioned to sell at a premium? So maybe certain Amazon stuff, consoles, things he's selling at a flea market. So what can I get from him where he can profit and I can profit? Those are the things I'm always looking for, is what problems do you have that my business can solve? An example, is a lot of this inventory here, like looking at businesses and saying, you have excess stuff. You're a massive business. Do you have any problems that we can solve? And that's how we've acquired a lot of our inventory. And it's definitely a mindset that has shifted and changed my business forever.
All right, I'm calling you over to the shipping station for this one. When shipping sports cards worth less than $5, what is the best option for price and quality of shipping, or is it best to just lock cards up? This is from Trevor.
Okay, Trevor. eBay is still the authority on selling sports cards by volume, by sales. So eBay standard envelope, right? Like the under $1 shipping method of cards with tracking, I think is basically what that is. That's the best way.
And what kind of materials would you use?
I would get so we've used just stuff like this. This is a kind of a thick cardstock. So this is staying firm. We ship manuals in this, like video game manuals. How would you even find this? What is this called? Can you find out what this is called, Alpal? We order these from...
It's a rigid mailer.
A rigid mailer. Thank you. Matt knew off the top of his head.
You're welcome, Chase.
Thank you, Alpal. I'm doing great. Yes, rigid mailers are good. Or thank you cards, which is kind of but like card stock, rigid thank you cards, we've used those in the past, and they work great. But personally, I would sell cards like that in lots. I value a business with a very high average price per sale, or average ASP, average sales price.
Yeah. Which isn't to say that you can't do it. I mean, we met the Card Father, who...
Selling millions and millions of cards every year. It's a great business model. It's not for me. Or Chasing Cardboard, same type of thing, lower ASP, but doing volume, and it works. So I'm not knocking the model at all. It's just not specifically for us.
All right, and this one is from the legend, Mr. Vanilla Godzilla.
Hey, cousin of Tyranitar.
Here, let me give you a gift to make.
He's gonna do something with that. He makes a lot of gifts in our Discord of us doing stupid things.
Give him a gift.
Give him something better.
All right, there you go. All right, so that's going to be a GIF over in the Discord now.
I love it.
Anyways, he says, running a small business, how do you handle experimentation of things like selling new types of products, trying new selling platforms and techniques, internal processes? It's a pretty big question.
Yeah, it is. It's a great question.
So let's tackle maybe first, how do you experiment with selling new types of products?
Well, I've had the motto of if you can find 100 or more of anything for cheap, buy it. So I've sold 1,700 knives we bought from Hobby Shop Ron, over 100 trains.
You bought like the matchbooks, like
Yep,
hundreds and hundreds of matchbooks.
Literally like matches. Hot Wheels. I've done that with. Just that's the lowest hanging fruit of like a deal that you can sense is almost certainly profitable. You know nothing about it, but it's like 100 GI Joes, $10, $20, whatever. Just buy it and figure it out. The key is to learn the low-hanging fruit from those things that you bought to sell.
So would you ever go out of your way like to save money to experiment with something else, like, or would you just let it kind of come to you?
That's something that I think we could do more of. Like, and all these answers that I'm giving are like just
Off the
cuff and things that have worked or not worked for me, and there's a lot of things that I haven't tried and need to try.
So like we bought a table of Funko Pops last summer. We just threw out a price, $100.
Yeah, and there were like 150, 200 of them. So would I do that again? I don't know. I think no, I wouldn't. I actually do know. I would not, because they don't sell very well. They sell slow, and they're kind of a pain to ship because everyone has to go in a box. So that's an example of like, yeah, I probably wouldn't do it again. It was still profitable, but just not for me. And it depends on where your business is going. Do you want to be the #1 seller of retro video games in the world? If no, then sure, maybe you should experiment. But if yes, then you got to be obsessed with only selling video games, right? So it depends on your goals. If your goal is strictly profit as much as possible, I do think there's some experimentation that could be had. But you just have to know you're going to have to sacrifice some systems and processes in order to successfully experiment.
Like our business has been tailored to sell video games.
Yeah.
Anytime we get stuff that aren't games, it can be a chink in the armor.
And that's a very recent kind of revelation for us. We're doing less experimentation outside of video games, right? So right now we're experimenting at scale with retro boxes and manuals because a deal presented itself, a great opportunity, and we wanted to do it. And it makes sense. It's within our niche, but we probably wouldn't do that if it was a deal at scale, even profitably with cosmetics or just random things that would have to be sold outside of our regular avenues of business.
Now, what about experimenting with like different selling platforms and maybe techniques on those platforms?
I definitely love that. Diversity is great. I made a video not too long ago of how Amazon is kicking sellers off for not much of a reason. So it's very risky to depend on one platform. So if you were only on Amazon and get kicked off, you would really feel it. But if you had eBay, whatnot, and maybe even Mercari or Walmart Marketplace, whatever they're calling theirs, then your risk would be much less. So go for it, and definitely try to. After you kind of get good at one platform, I usually recommend eBay because it's just so consistent, very low risk, very low barriers to entry.
I think it gives people a good sense of what their business actually is as well.
100%.
After doing 3 months on eBay, you're like, oh, I'm buying a lot of this.
Yeah.
This is probably what I should lean into.
It's such a great place to start, and it can be the place to finish too. eBay is legendary. But once you master that, definitely try to introduce either Amazon or a live selling platform or Mercari, whatever.
And I got some questions about live selling as well a little bit down the line. So,
okay.
So we'll get to those in a little bit. But if the CATRP business did not exist, what would each of you want to do career-wise? Want to do, maybe not could do.
I have no answer but this. I just love it so much. So
just resell minus YouTube.
I would play tennis or ping pong or something professionally. I don't know.
I don't even.
Not that I could at all. But
I don't know either. I would want to do YouTube.
I were a Twitch streamer before you.
Yeah, like that's what I found fun. I would try and make that work. I'd probably still have another job until it worked, but I don't know. I worked in healthcare briefly before this. Let me grab my mic for Alpal.
Oh,
You
well,
have 5 seconds.
I really wanted to be a personal trainer at one point. I don't know if, man, all right.
Okay, we're gonna cut that.
Well, I really wanted to be a personal trainer. I really want to be a personal trainer at one point. I don't know if I'd want to do that or just something along the lines of fitness or athletics.
Cool.
Or I really want to work in ministry, but I mean, everywhere's a ministry, but if I couldn't be it here, somewhere else maybe.
Right on.
But I don't want to leave, just so.
Yay!
Matt, the engineer, what would you be doing?
Well, maybe like philanthropy. No. So I did get a degree in electrical enginering, for those who
Ooh.
don't know.
Fancy.
Speaking of electrical engineering, that's a feat right there.
What is that? There's some of Matt's personality.
Hi, how are you?
Are those AI generated?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I love it.
I would probably be doing a power systems or electromagnetic field electrical engineering job. Yeah.
Cool.
This is a lot more fun.
All right, here we go. This is from Shatterdome. What is one thing you're seeing from smaller sellers that is preventing them from taking the next step to expanding their business or profits?
Oh.
Really good one, right?
Yeah, I have to think about that. There's a couple things that come to mind that prevented me from growing, and we've kind of highlighted them a little bit in this video. But one, being obsessed with the hunt, just getting the deals all the time, and going out and sourcing all the time, and not selling very much or not selling consistently. This is why we do our eBay challenges in the Discord.
There's one live now. You guys can join.
Right, you can join it now and get those practices in place and do them consistently. Consistency is huge on the selling end. A lot of times people love the sourcing, they don't do the selling, they get a death pile. Death piles don't make you money. But the second one is not making friends with competition. It's connecting with people is the most important thing you can do.
And I'm curious to see what you guys think of this as well. So let us know in the comments. There's
Yeah,
a lot of
would love
answers to this question.
There's a lot that held me back, that can hold people back. But the biggest thing that held me back was just being secretive and staying away from competition and not trying to connect with people, telling them what I do. Once I kind of open that up, it just is a paradigm shift, and it just changes everything. So.
Okay, and this is from Superior in the Discord. When it comes to promoted listings, how specific should you be on which items you should list? Are there items you would never promote and some you would always promote?
I think Alpal would be good for this one. Did you hear that, Alpal?
Short answer, everything. There's nothing that we don't promote when we list on eBay.
Okay.
And that is part of our challenge, I think.
Yep.
Of our just set it and forget it. 2.1%?
I think it's 2.1% unless it's been changed. If you really want something to sell fast and it has a high quantity of things being listed, maybe promote it higher, but we generally don't do that.
All right, this one is from Rex. This is from Rex. What partnerships or supplier relationships have been most crucial to your success? And how do you cultivate and maintain these relationships for years to come?
You can see a theme that people are getting at. The relationships and the partnerships and the connections are very important. This has changed for me at different stages of my business, especially when I'm at level 1 of sourcing versus 3 versus 5. 1 being garage sales and thrift stores. Partnership relationships aren't that important. Kind of didn't have many of them, except for a couple of people that I met locally. Level 3 is like buying local collections, small buyouts, storage unit buyer type people. So storage unit buyers, local competition, that's when I start becoming friends with them. And then level 5 is buying big collections, big store buyouts as much as possible. And this is where, our business kind of exploded when we bought out the game barn. That was like probably our first real big level 5 purchase. Soon after was Hobby Shop Ron. Huge connection right there.
And I would say, it's simply because of our first interactions with them that made it a recurring thing.
So that's what I want to focus on is when you're with a whale, for lack of a better term, but somebody that is a monster in the business in a good way or has a ton of great inventory, the first meeting is so crucial, so important, especially if you want to have a business relationship with them. So take it very seriously. Have a lot of cash, pay as much as you can, focus on those things where you can pay a higher percentage and make the connection just to show them that you mean business, that you have integrity, that you're somebody that they can work with. I have failed at this in the past, and I have done it better in the past. And Game Barn Justin and Hobby Shop Ron are two where I feel very blessed to have made that first meeting, to have made an impression, to the point where we bought things that we sold for 6 figures in both cases, collectively. So incredible.
Can I explain like how we did that or what that actually looked like?
Yes, but first, another connection that we have is XYAB, a channel sponsor and a partner with our video game resale business. Guys, just like these labeled bins,
There's a reason we have shelves of these things.
they're full of cables. You know, these are XYAB, the double round cable. You always need those for PS2s. Any cable, any AV cable, controller, controller charging cable, batteries,
We have another shelf
disk
over there.
drives. I mean, they have plushes, great plushes that are licensed, and so much more. So if you're a business selling video games, you got to reach out. $50 off your first order of 100 or more. But now, to Sky Guy.
Hi, how are you? So in the case of Hobby Shop Ron, I'm sure you remember the first time we met him, he was very brash.
Yes.
Some would say bold and brash.
Unapproachable, almost.
Yeah, and like he was sizing us up the whole time and essentially was telling us stories of, all these guys came in here and said they were going to buy it all. They didn't. And so they would just kind of go there and want to pick out a few things instead of everything. So to Chase's point, we had the cash on hand to where we were like, we will make this happen no
We'll
matter
take it
what.
all, brother.
And then with Game Barn Justin, the first 3 times we went, we only targeted the highest end stuff. One, because we wanted to show we had the cash in hand and we're real players, but 2, also there was some strategy to, hey, if this is a connection that could disappear in the future, let's just get all the nicest stuff while we can. But Chase, do you have any failed relationships or any relationships that may have fallen through that you can give an example of?
Yeah, I've had some relationships like that. Small examples of just things falling through for various reasons. My initial offer being too low. And most of these relationships don't stand out to me because they're ones that just never really happened. But there were examples of not having enough cash flow early on in business from a local school that was selling out their projectors. So I made a deal for their old projectors, about 120 of them, and I sold them for an average of $100 a piece. The deal was for $4,000, so I made about $8,000. It did take a lot of work. And then they were like, "Oh, do you want our better ones, our newer ones?" And I think it might have been a $15,000 deal or something. That would have probably led to 15, 20 grand in profit, and I just didn't have the cash to do it, so I had to say no. So just an example of like not having enough cash flow on hand. That has happened a number of times, which is why I've been focusing on growing that in recent times. I think I can do 5 flips in a row.
Terrified.
All right, well, I got the first one, I think.
Good.
All right, this one is from Malachi. He
Malachi.
says, for eBay, I know consistency and quantity of listing daily is important. Example, listing 5 items a day. Is there ever a place for quality over quantity? What I mean is, can I list one huge listing on a certain day, like a huge video game lot that'll take just as much, if not longer, than 3 to 5 single listings, but should sell for a lot? It just takes a lot of time. Do you guys ever have days like that?
Okay, I understand the question. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you want to get your average selling price up, so have more quality items. That being said, if you don't have that, if you don't have consistent quality items, I wouldn't recommend like just lotting everything together to get your average up, because consistent listings every day leads to consistent impressions every day, which leads to consistent sales every day. As long as you're priced competitively with items that are in demand.
Don't be asking $100 for a $20 item.
Correct.
And wonder why it's not selling.
You have to kind of check all the boxes for all of the strategies that make sense. But yeah, I certainly would focus on growing the quality. But really the equation is, if you can increase your daily listings per day, and increase your average sales price or your quality of items that you're listing per day, then your profit's going to go up, assuming your margin percentage stays the same. So there's 2 ways to do it: better stuff, more stuff.
All right, this one's from Nolan. He says, do you foresee Whatnot being around for many years to come, or do you think it will eventually wind down? It seems like some of these selling platforms eventually plateau and you don't hear much about them anymore, like Poshmark or Mercari. They still exist, but they don't have the status or appeal that they initially had in their first few years.
Yes, I think that it will be around for a long time. The question of Whatnot specifically, I think that Whatnot's going to get bought out at some point. I thought that eBay should have bought them, to be honest, a little while ago. And maybe that will happen eventually. I think somebody, Facebook, whoever, a big wig is going to buy them. And Amazon. Yeah, I mean, somebody's going to buy them and use their platform and their customer base to increase what's happening. Because live selling specifically, in my opinion, we're in the infancy in the U.S. If you look overseas in some different countries, like, it's way more established. Sales in the live auction format are far beyond what they are here in the States. So I think we have a long ways to go, which is part of the reason you notice in our business we're diving into it, because we want to be, at the forefront of something that I think has room for explosive growth.
And especially going back to the diversity aspect, it's not that we're ditching everything for it.
Yeah.
I also share your take. I think live selling isn't going anywhere, but if Whatnot does, that means there's going to be a better option.
Right.
Like
a competitor might come along, but it'll still be in the
like
live
if eBay Live
space.
rolls out and it absolutely decimates, like
if it gets out of beta, and then it's a great product and stuff, then they might take over. We will be wherever the most, the best live selling platform is. We will be there. My nose itches.
I'm sorry about that. Itch it after this question.
You want me to scratch it on the inside?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes.
All right, this one is from Battle Axe Toys 2022. I've been selling toys and collectibles for 13 years, but mostly on Facebook Live and local shows. I just started doing eBay and got a storefront, and I want to add video games and systems to my store. Any advice on sourcing, and should I sell everything on eBay or just toys and collectibles?
Oh, congrats on 13 years of selling toys and collectibles. Facebook Live is great. Maybe consider Whatnot as well if you're already experienced in live selling. To answer the question, for eBay, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what you put on your eBay store. I think that eBay's algorithm is going to push the items to the right people, especially if you're following the things that we promote in our eBay challenges and our seasons of eBay challenges. So sell whatever on eBay. To source video games, I mean, you've sourced toys for years. It's a similar market, similar people, similar negotiations. Maybe start asking all of the people that you're making toy deals if they have video games. Start there.
Yeah, if you have a storefront now, just start saying you're buying games.
If it's an actual storefront, I took that as an eBay store page, but yeah, if you have a but the level 5 of sourcing, maybe if you actually start a storefront and people bring stuff to you, that's OP. That's a great way to get inventory. But yeah, just continue to make those connections and tell people that you're buying video games now.
All right, I have about 400 listings. I list about 5 items a day, and I sell an average of 1 to 2 items a day, but my views on items are 0 to a handful of views per item. What can I do to boost views on my items?
Who is this from?
User.
Great.
User, a bunch of letters and numbers.
Let's say Tony. User Tony. It sounds to me like there may be some things that you're not doing for your eBay store. So yeah, just make sure you do as many things as possible consistently. Join the challenge, join the Discord for that, and do everything in there. But in addition to that, respond to every message, respond to every offer, activity. eBay loves it. End everything in the store. Do that, and then put it all back up. Sell similar, list, whatever. Just do whatever activity. Do consistent activity.
You could be coming off of like a vacation as well. It seems like give it a couple weeks. Like sometimes if you just completely go cold turkey on eBay and get back into it, it might take a little bit to get going again.
But also list good items. If you're not listing good items, it's not going to sell no matter what, and they have to be priced well and all that.
And then this one is from Jeremy. On the similar note, Seems like the items I'm selling are currently not what people are looking for during the summer. I'm experiencing the summer slump. Any recommendations on how to get through this period? It stinks listing 3 to 5 things every day and only getting a single sale, if that.
Buy and sell less winter coats. I don't know what items people aren't looking for in the summer. I do know that Wii Sports sells hundreds, 365. Hundreds of copies every day, 365 days a year. So I think it sounds like a lot of this is on the sourcing end. I don't know your specific situation. But yeah, work on your sourcing end, expand how you're sourcing and what you're sourcing, and find those things that are high demand no matter what the season. Video game consoles come to mind, popular toys come to mind, things that just aren't seasonal or dependent on the season. Focus on those.
And then this one is from Brendan from Games
Brendan.
Electronics
Let's
on
go.
us. He says, my question is for the whole crew. What is your favorite game console and why?
GameCube, local party games. Stink and love it.
Okay. I think I've changed my answer on this. I'm going to go DS.
Ooh, why?
DS. Just the most memories with it, I think.
Nostalgia.
Matt?
This is a very hard question.
5.
I am a Sony
4,
boy.
3.
Probably PS2. Lots of good memories.
That's a good one.
I have 2 quick answers. For online games, 360, I know. And for story
all right, it's
games, PS4.
Okay.
Just, again, most memories.
There we go. I like it.
Who was correct? Let us know in the comments down below.
And if you guys have questions, please let us know if you want us to do another video like this. Leave your questions for us as the crew or as a business in the comment section. We'll see you next time. I'm so sweaty. Oh, gosh.
Bye.